Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy to invite you all for third day National FDP organized by Mohammed SATHAK AJ College of Engineering. And this is the right time to invite our chief guest. And first of all, and before that, I need to invite Mrs. Rajeshwari from the Department of Mathematics, Assistant Professor, to invite our chief guest for today's session. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Barvin, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Rajeshwari S., Assistant Professor, Department of Mathematics, Mohammed SATHAK AG College of Engineering. It's my pleasure to welcome you all for the FDP. Today, we have with us Dr. Sundareswaran, Associate Professor from Department of Mathematics, SSM College, Chennai. He has received his doctorate in 2011 and has 20 years of teaching experience and 15 years of research experience. As an academician, his research interest focuses on combinatorics, graph theory, etc. He has received a fellowship for research in graphs. He has organized 20 conferences and workshops and has been speaker in 30 invited talks. To his credit, he has published nearly 30 plus research articles in reputed national and international journals. We welcome as a speaker for today's session, sir, and we are eager to hear from you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. First of all, I extend my sincere thanks to Rajesh Lingam for having given this opportunity to add a few of my ideas, wonderful participants. The entire FDP topic of entire FDP focusing on research methodology. The last 2 days, we heard about how we applying for funding, how we get funding for doing research projects. So my topic focusing on how we plan to start a research, what are the preparations we are going to do. So what is research? Research is a scientific investigation, which means that search for a new facts and ideas in any branch of knowledge, not only in science and engineering. Sometimes it belongs to literature also. People, those who are doing research in literature, they're doing a lot of new things in their research work. Research may be considered as a movement because we are starting from unknown to reach a known things. Research is an academic activity and is much the term should be used in a technical sense. According to the famous psychologist Clifford, he talks about research. Research compromises defining and redefining problems, formulating hypotheses or suggested solutions, collecting, organizing, and evaluating data, making predictions, and reaching conclusions, and at last carefully testing the conclusion to determine whether they fit the formulating hypothesis. So initially, we are going to define a hypothesis. I was nothing but assumption. based on the assumption, we start our research work. So we are going to collect the data, then we formulate our own technical methods, applying it and analyze the data. At the end, you are going to conclude it. So whether your hypothesis is right or not. There are different types of testing methods in statistical uh, tools. So testing of hypothesis, or either you can, if you are doing a research based on theory part, then you need to evaluate or you can determine some conclusion based on our hypothesis. Research is an organized and systematic way of finding answers to questions. Why we call it as organized? Because we have a definite set of procedures and steps which you will follow throughout your research. Why we are calling it this emphasizing systematic? A structure or method is going about doing research. So in a systematic manner. Then whether it is the answer to a hypothesis or even a simple question, research is successful when we find answers. So research is focused on relevant, useful, and important questions. Without a question, research has no focus, drive, or purpose. So these four components are important for doing research. Organized, systematic way of finding answers to questions. So we can split it into two parts: re plus search. Re means we are going to do again and again or repeating the process, finding the answers. To search means find out something new. So the following is the process. Person observes again, phenomena, procedures, collection of data, then analyze it, then get a conclusion based on this analysis. So this is called research. So research expands knowledge base, helps to know what you are up to against. Research introduces new ideas, encourages curiosity, builds credibility, and increase the quality of life. Research drives progress forward. So these are the things when we talk about research. So generally, this is a very famous clipboard when you talk about developing a software. Sometimes our research goes like this. So we are expecting something in the first step, but at the end of the thing, after finishing your research, after 4 years in full time or 5 years in part time, so something you're getting the different way. But that is also new. So don't bother about it whether you are going to get the exact thing or not. There are different stages you come across, but the end you should do something new, should invite something new, invent something new, and deliver to the society. That is very, very important. So what are the objectives of a research? To discuss new facts, verify and test important facts, analyze an event or procedure, processor phenomena to identify the cause and effect relationship. So because we have some factors and sub-factors, then we call it as cause and effect diagram. So based on the relationship, you can analyze your data, develop your new scientific tools, concepts, theory to solve and understand scientific and non-scientific problems. So identify the solution of those problems, then solve the problems occurring in everyone, in our everyday life, real-time problems. So what is the motivation in research? What makes people to undertake research? It's a simple thing, a desire to get a research degree along with its constitutional benefits. So this is what we are going to do. So we need a degree and we need some benefits from the institute. So once you complete the PhD degree, you get some salary increment or something like that. But apart from that, desire to face the challenges in solving the unsolved problems, that is concern over practical problems, initiates research, desire to get intellectual joy of doing some creative work, sometimes desire to be of service to society, desire to get respect to it. So these are the other things which motivates us to do research. So there are different types of research. So we will see one by one. Descriptive and analytical. So what is descriptive research? It includes surveys, fact finding, inquiries of different kinds. But in analytical research, the researcher has to use facts or information already available and analyze those to make a critical evaluation of that material. So these are two different types of research. So apart from that, there are some more types. One is applied versus fundamental. What is applied research? Which aims at finding a solution for an immediate problem facing a society or an industrial business organization. Whereas fundamental research is mainly concerned with generalization and with formulation of a theory. If we focusing only on theory, we don't bother about whether we are going to apply it or not. But in the case of applied research, we should tell where we have to use this theory. So either you take a real-time problem or you create a model, mathematical model. Through that, you can say that my research theory, my findings in my research are useful to this society. So apart from that, we have quantitative and qualitative research. What is quantitative? Is based on the measurement of quantity or amount. It is applicable phenomena that can be expressed in terms of quantity. So we'll see what are the examples for qualitative and quantitative in the next slide. Qualitative research, on the other hand, is concerned with qualitative phenomena, that is, phenomena relating to or involving quality or kind. I will show some examples for both quantitative and qualitative research. So then conceptual empirical research. In conceptual research, is that related to some abstract ideas or theory. It is generally used by the philosophers and thinkers to develop new concepts or to reinterpret existing ones. Generally, these kinds of research based on literature survey, that is literature people, they are doing some new things. Even though in people, those who are in English department, they need some statistical methods, tools. They are using SPSS to validate their literature survey of data based on statistics. They want to prove something based on mathematical concepts. So you cannot say that they are only writing theory or concepts. They are also doing the same. They do this questionnaire based on that. They get some survey data, then analyze through statistical methods. Then they find some conclusion based on it. In empirical research, relies on experience or observation alone, often without due regard for system and theory. It is data-based research coming up with conclusions which are capable of being verified by observation of experiment. These are something like physics people, chemistry people, they are doing this kind of chemical engineering, mechanical engineering. They are doing some research based on the experiments. They do some experiments. From experiment data, they tell what are the new findings they will get. So what is the importance of knowing how research is done? Study of research methodology gives the student the necessary training in gathering material and arranging or card indexing them, participation in fieldwork when prepared, and also training in techniques for the collection of data appropriate to particular problems in the use of statistics, questionnaires, and control experimentation, and in recording evidence, sorting it out, and interpreting. These are the procedures, just the steps we are going to do in research. So anyway, we'll see what are the stages in research in coming slides. So already I mentioned what is quantitative research. It's focusing on collecting and analyzing quantifiable data to draw conclusions. So generally, what are the key methods? Surveys we can do, experiments, observational studies, secondary data analysis. These are comes under quantitative. But when you talk about qualitative research, interviews, focus a group, ethnography. So these are some examples for qualitative research. Both the things are entirely different depending upon your hypothesis, depending upon your research problem statement. You do research based on any one of these types. Apart from these two, there are many other types. So what is that? Mixed methods research. What is that? The combination of both qualitative and quantitative. Some part based on quantitative, some of the part in your research qualitative. So in a single study to provide a more comprehensive understanding of the research question. What is cross-sectional studies? Gathering data from a sample of a population at a specific point in time to understand relationship or difference between variables. Then longitude studies following a group of participants over an. Is it clear? Is it audible? Hello? Ma'am, is it clear? Yeah. Can you see the screens? Slides? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, following a group of participants over an extended period of time to examine changes and developments over the time. This is one type of research. Then what is action research? Collaboratively working with stockholders to identify and implement solutions to practical problems in real world settings. Generally, people, those who are in chemical engineering and mechanical engineering, they are doing this kind of research. They are collaborating with some industry. They identify some problems and implement solutions to particular problems, practical problems which they are facing in the industry. Then they give solutions also. So this is based on industrial collaboration. What is case control studies? Comparing individuals with a particular outcome to those without the outcome to identify potential cause of risk factors. Generally, we don't suggest this type of research in our country. Descriptive research describing and summarizing characteristics, behaviors, or patterns without manipulating variables. This kind of research is something like zoology and biology people they are doing. Correlation research, biomedical people are doing research based on correlation. In brain network, they are collecting data and analyzing the data based on the correlation coefficient. So they have two or more variables, then they think about correlating between the variables, and based on the data, they conclude something. So most of the research in biomedical engineering, they are using this kind of research. Then grounded theory, an approach to developing theory based on systematically gathering and analyzing data, allowing the theory to emerge from the data. Initially, when you are talking about research 30 years, 40 years back, generally based on this. They approach to develop a theory. They don't bother about other things. They develop a theory based on some data which they have. Because initially, people didn't have that much lab facilities. They are not doing all those things. So they're focusing on theory only. Then surveys and questionnaires. Most of the people in the English department, Tamil department, they send a questionnaire to a set of people. Based on the questionnaire, they do the survey and apply statistical methods to conclude their research. Then meta-analysis is a statistical technique that combines the results of multiple studies on the same topic to draw more robust conclusion. So these are some of not much. These are the 12 different methods of research, types of research. So what are the stages of research? So first we are going to select a research topic. So we will talk about later how we select a topic, then define the research problem, then do the literature survey, then assessment of current stages of the topic chosen, then formulation of hypothesis. That is, we are going to assume something before starting our research. Then materials and methods, what we are going to use throughout our research. That is called research design. Then conduct of experiment if it is necessary. Then based on the experiment, you collect the data and analyze the data. Then interpretation of the results. Then findings and conclusion. So these are the major stages of research. Any research, either it's related to applied, fundamental, quantitative, qualitative, whatever research you are going to do. But these are the major steps you should follow. Hey, these are some funny figures which I have got from the internet. So how our research years going. So first year, what is the stage, second year, third year, and final year. But Generally, when we are doing research and waiting for publication and other things, so we'll see what are the difficulties we are going to face in during our research period. Sometimes you may feel that you might be feel that either you drop your research after 2 years or 3 years because of publication, because of quarrel with your guide, something like that, or supporting from your family, or supporting from your institute where you are working. If you are a part-time scholar or a full-time scholar getting funding from your institute, these are the factors based on that you whether you are going to continue your research or drop. So these are comes under preparing and planning, because you should plan according to that. You start your research. So randomly you cannot do. I'm going to do research in a particular time. So just you analyze all these things. Whether you are going to continue, you are going to spend the entire time as a full-time scholar or part-time scholar while working with another institute. So these are the preparation and planning. So that is very important when you do research. What are the process? Conducting research involves a systematic, organized process that follow specific steps to ensure the collection of reliable and meaningful data. So, what is the first step? Identifying the research topic. So, to choose a research topic that interests you, that is very important and aligns with your expertise and resources. Develop clear and focused research questions that you want to answer through your study. That is very important. Then review existing research. That is something like literature subject, literature review. So you should know at least what are things available, what are the findings already done by other researchers, other experts in the subject. Based on that, you start your research. That is the second stage. Then you should design the research methodology, determine the appropriate research methodology that suits you research questions. Decide whether your study will be qualitative, quantitative, or mixed of both. Already I mentioned there are different types of research. You should adopt at least any one of them. Also, choose the data collection methods such as survey, interviews, experiments, observation. These are the things you should concentrating in the third step. That is design of your research methodology. That is mandatory. Then in the fourth step, select the sample and participants. If your study involves human participants, so like your biomedical engineering or other geological or botany related to research related to those areas, decide on the sample size, selection criteria, obtain ethical approval. You should get ethical approval before you publish it if it is required, and ensure that participants' right and privacy are protected throughout the research process. This is very important, mandatory also. Then information collection. Collect information and data based on your chosen research methodology. Qualitative research has more intellectual information, while quantitative research results are more data oriented. So, depending upon that, you do your research. Ensure that your data collection process is standardized and consistent to maintain the validity of the research. This is the fifth step. What is the sixth step? After collecting data, you are going to analyze it. Analyze the data you have collected using the appropriate statistical or qualitative research methods. The type of analysis will depend on nature of your data and research questions. There are many statistical tools available in statistics. ANOVA, testing of hypothesis, which test you are going to do, F test, chi-square test. There are other methods, multiple ANOVA, multi-criteria ANOVA. There are many methods available in research, or you are going to apply over concepts, optimization techniques, or you are going to use graph theory techniques, or you can develop a theory based on your fuzzy logic. So these are the methods you should decide after collecting them. In which method, in what method you are going to analyze your data. That is very important at the sixth step. Then seventh step, interpretation of results. So interpret the findings of your data results, relate the results to your research questions, and consider how they contribute to the existing knowledge in the field, same field. That is very important. Most of the papers rejected from the journal only because of this. They ask how can you say that your results are better than the existing one? So in that stage, you should know what are the existing results available in your. They ask what is the comparison, what are the other methods, what are the findings on the same situation which you are considered in your research. What is the comparison of your result with the existing one? That is very important. When you are writing a paper in any field, this is very important. Then draw conclusion. Once you compare the data, then you can easily get the conclusion. This is the thing which which you are going to find new, or this is the thing we are going to tell about based on your research to the society. So the conclusion depends on the seventh step. So based on your interpretation of results, draw a meaningful conclusion that answers your research questions. Because initially you defined what are the questions. These are called hypotheses. Discuss the implications of your findings and how they align with existing literature. Then at the last step, discuss limitations. Acknowledge and discuss any limitations of your study. For example, you can create your open problems, or you can tell what are the further study in your field that you are not touching it. So these are some open problems. We say the conjectures, because if post a conjecture, conjecture is nothing but still you cannot say that, you cannot prove with the question. You conclude that I know this is what I am going to get. Then you make it as a conjecture. People, those who are going to read your paper, your research problem, then they try to find the answer for the conjectures. If either they give some counter examples for the conjectures, is not possible, or something like that, they tell, or they can prove it. Your result is right. So these things, these type of issues are in step 9. Discuss limitations. Addressing limitations, demonstrates the validity and reliability of your research. Then apart from that, what is the recommendations? If applicable, provide recommendations based on your research findings. These recommendations can be for further research, policy changes, or practical applications. Write the research report, that is called thesis. Prepare a comprehensive research report detailing all aspects of your study, including the introduction, methodology, results, discussion, conclusion, and references. Then peer review and revisions. If you intend to publish your work, submit your report to peer-reviewed journals. Revise your research report based on the feedback received from. Excuse me, ma'am. Hello. Yeah, there are two major things. What is basic research? Basic research seeks to gain new knowledge and understanding of fundamental principles without immediate consideration for its practical applications. It is driven by curiosity and pursuit of expanding knowledge, and often serve as foundation upon which applied research and technological advancements are built. So generally, these type of research in quantum mechanics and theory of effect. These are the examples for basic research. But in applied research, seeks to solve practical problems and enhance existing body of knowledge by developing new procedures, products, or methodologies, often with direct real-world applications. It is focused on addressing specific challenges or improving existing solutions, thereby providing tangible benefits. So generally, we can say that battery technology, antibiotics, these are the applied research examples for applied research, right? So you should choose what kind of research you are going to do. That is very important before you starting your research, because at the end of third year or fourth year beginning, should not feel that why we are choosing this, why we are proceeding like this. Should not struggle at the end of the research period. So initial stage you should define what are things you are going to do. That is very important. Okay. So, what are the techniques involved in defining a problem for the research? Defining and formulating research problem is more important than its solution. That is very, very important. You should identify the research problem first. So, well-defined research problem can guide to collect data, methodology, exploring relation between variables. So, based on your defined problem definition, you can easily collect the data, but you can find the methodology and exploring relation between variables. Hence, research problem should be defined in a systematic manner, giving due weightage to all rating points. The technique for the purpose involves this understanding of the following steps, generally one after the other. What are the characteristics, requirements for research process? Research is a complete process to answer questions through collecting, analyzing, and interpreting information to answer questions. So, what are the things we are going to follow? Controlled, rigorous, systematic, valid and verifiable, empirical, and practical. So, these are the stages, these are the characteristics required for research process. What is controlled? In controlled process, in exploring causality relationship between variables, is set up steady in such a way that the effects of other factors are minimized. The second stage, to ensure that the procedure will find relevant, appropriate, and justified answers to her questions. The process follows certain logical sequence. That is very important. Findings of process may be corrected, verified, and improved by previous step. So something should do better than what the existing one. That is very important. Conclusions of a study represents real life experience or observations. The process adopted, the procedures used must be able to withstand critical scrutiny. Right? That is very important. So, importance of knowing how to conduct research has been listed. The knowledge of research methodology provides training to new researchers, enables them to do research properly. It enables them to develop disciplined thinking or bent of mind to objectively observe the field. The knowledge of doing research inculcates the ability to evaluate and utilize the research findings with confidence. The knowledge of research methodology equips the researcher with the tools that help him or her to make the observation objective. So the knowledge of methodology helps the researcher, consumers to evaluate research and make rational decisions. So these are the importance to conduct research. What is research problem? It's a clear statement about an area of concern, a condition to be improved upon. So that is very important. A difficulty to be eliminated, or a troubling question that exists in the scholarly literature, in theory, or within existing practice that's point to need for meaningful understanding and deliberate investigation. So your research problem based on this. So keep in your mind when you're writing a research problem, when you're stating a research problem, these are the important things you should consider it. Okay, how do you define a research problem? A researcher must define a research problem and formulate it in such a way that the nature of the problem can be identified and come to a solution of the problem. That is very important. That is what I mentioned earlier. After 4th year or 5th year, you should not feel that why you are choosing. So in the beginning itself, you should know whether you are going to get a valid conclusion, at least somehow, not 100%, not the entire thing what you are going to find is useful for the society. At least 50% should justify it. Your results are good. This is not existing in the literature. So these are the new findings. This particular finding will lead to the next stage. People may continue their research based on your findings, or your ideas can be applicable to other areas also. Something should. A research problem refers to some difficulty which a researcher experiences in the context of either a theoretical or practical situation and wants to obtain a solution for the same. So repeatedly I'm saying the same statement. So choosing a research problem is more important than anything. Whether you're going to do the research or continuing the research for 5 to 6 years, it's not a problem. But you should know whether you're going to get a solution at the end of the stage. So how we can select the problem? The following points may be considered by researcher in selecting a research problem or subject for research. So generally, people those who are from Maths department or Physics department, there are many areas people can do research, but you should know what is the current phenomena and what is the current situation in which topic you can proceed your research and where you can get more publications or how you can write thesis. So based on that, you should select your research. Randomly, you cannot say that I can do research on game theory, research on algebra, research on common effects. Should get some knowledge based on your expertise in the initial stage. You should select your. So that is very important. Then only you can complete your research in a speculated time. Otherwise, you are struggling at the end of the year, 5th year or 6th year. Because other factors are that we will see. What are the other factors affecting your research? So subject matter which is done before should not be generally chosen. That is very important. You search it in Google because nowadays we can have a lot of things in internet. You should type it in Google before you stating your problem, whether the problem is already stated or people have done something in that particular research topic. That is very important. That knowledge should be very, very. For it will be difficult to task to throw a new light through an older problem. That is very important. Then controversial subject should not become the choice of an average researcher. We cannot say that we can apply this in that particular area, even though we know that that is not possible. But initially we thought that why we cannot do that. That questions we can say that after getting your PhD degree, then you can do trial and error. But you plan to do research, don't choose controversial subject. I can apply something from history to physics, something from physics to chemical engineering. That things, because at the stage of second or third year, you cannot find methods. Methodology is difficult. Design is difficult. So don't choose controversial subject. Whether you can choose a topic most of the people are doing it, or you can find some new ideas in the topic. Those topics are relevant to you. That is very important. Too narrow or too vague problems should be avoided. Okay, so already lot of things done in a particular area. Don't choose that because already the things are over. So, but otherwise you can find a collaborator in other fields. Then you start your research. So these are the things that are already available in our area. The area is well defined. Systematically they studied all those things. But I want to apply these concepts in other areas. So then you find people from other areas or a collaborator from other fields. Then you do research. You start your research. You state your. Okay. The subject selected for research should be familiar and feasible so that related research material or sources of the research are within the reach of the researcher. Because once you choose your research subject based on the literature survey and other things, then the fourth step is easy. You can easily collect the data, you can easily find the material source, everything. Then you can proceed your research easily. Otherwise, that is very, very difficult. Researcher must know his or her strength before selecting a research problem. Whether we can do a research in a particular area, then only you can choose it. Okay, so that is very important. So you should know your capability. So not only you, so it depends on your supervisor. Should know whether your supervisor having some knowledge, good knowledge in that particular topic. Otherwise, at the stage of second year, he or she supervisor may left their part. So you can continue your research. You bring your thesis, I put signature, that's all. But that is difficult because the role of supervisor is very important in a research period. That is very, very important. So researcher, creativity and problem solving. So that is very important. Everyone is creative. A researcher should unlock his imagination. That is very important. Not in my belief, in my experience in research, I strongly say that whatever we are going to find, that is because of someone beyond our thing. That is, I believe in God. So something he wants to say to the society through our research findings. That is the thing. We can't say that we do this or that. Okay, because I don't know how many of you agree with that. But at the end of 50 year of research, when you are writing research thesis, you can say that these are the new findings. I am happy to write my thesis because these things are not available in the literature because of God, right? So then creativity required hard work. That is very important. Develop an open mind. Hasty judgment must be avoided. Then establish boundaries of a problem. Does not limit creativity but focus. Cultivate vertical or convergent thinking as well as horizontal or lateral thinking. These are important for research. Then methods of scientific inquiry. Scientific inquiry is a body of techniques for investigating phenomena, acquiring new knowledge, or creating and integrating previous knowledge. So scientific part is very, very important. To be termed scientific, a method of inquiry must be systematic, controlled, and based on empirical and measurable evidence. Goal of scientific inquiry is to obtain knowledge in the form of testable explanations that can predict the results of future experiments. So, what are the qualities of a good researcher? Seeker of truth and knowledge. A seeker of truth and knowledge has to be truthful and sincere, a desire for knowledge, be prepared to make any sacrifice in terms of money, time, energy to find out the real truth. Somehow it's difficult to spend more money for a particular research. You understand. But apart from that, you put your manpower, hard working, that is energy and time. That we can, everyone can do it. The money sometimes depending if a part-time scholar getting support from the institute, it's difficult. For a publication, he has to send something. That's not possible for a particular research. So, but time and energy that we can easily spend for getting a real truth of the research. What are the ethical issues in research? So, honesty, objectivity, integrity, and carefulness. What is honesty? Strive for honesty in all scientific communications. Don't fabricate or false. So that is what people are saying, that plagiarism. So nowadays, when you're submitting a paper to a journal, the initial stage they ask the plagiarism should be less than 15% or 10%. Don't follow whatever already available in the net. Just copy it and paste it. That is not good. So you should have some honesty in your research. Objectivity, strive to avoid bias in experimental design. So don't justify yourself. So data analysis, data interpretation, peer review. If you need 100 or 150 data, you should take 100 or 150 data in the regular book. So direct. Don't manipulate it. That will not lead to a good result at the end of your paper, end of your research. Grant writing, expert testimony, and other aspects of research where objectivity is expected, or then integrity, keep promises and agreements, act with sincerity, strive for consistency of throughout and the entire research. Carefulness, avoid careless errors or negligence. Carefully and critically examine your own work and the work of your peers. Keep good records of research activities such as data collection, research design, and correspondence with agencies or journals. So these are the ethical issues in research. So apart from that, openness, respect for intellectual property, confidentiality, and social responsibility, that is very important. Legality and animal care, human subject protection. So these are for other areas, biomedical engineering, biology. So because they depend on ethical clearance from a separate committee in their institute or the general. So in openness, share your data, results, ideas, tools, and resources. So you should follow all these ethical issues in your research. So what is research problem statement? As a start, description of specific research part or subject that researchers aims to address with an explanation of why that particular matter essential to be spoken. Why speaking this part or matter is of significance. What general advantage speaking the matter may deliver. On the other hand, research question refers to a situation when a researcher narrowed down research problem to one or more precise questions that are solid and can be replied by trial, evaluation of data, literature. I hope most of the participants in the meeting are doing research. They maybe they follow the same. So whatever things which I have discussed so far. So people, those who are going to start research, please follow these steps. So not 100%, at least 80%. That is very important. Hypothesis is a guess to answer of the research question. So you assume something before you start your research. At the end of the research, you should justify your hypothesis right or wrong. The purpose of a problem statement is to introduce importance of topic being studied, place the topic in a particular context that defines the parameters of what is to be investigated, to provide the framework for reporting the results and indicates what is probably necessary to conduct the study and explain how the findings will present this information. So these are the purposes of a problem statement. So what are the important aspects of a hypothesis? Hypothesis should be simple, capable of verification, related to the existing body of knowledge, operate a. So these, based on these things, should define your hypothesis to guess something. Okay. So objectives of scientific inquiry is identify problem that defines the goal of research, make prediction that if confirmed resolves the problem, gather data relevant to this prediction, analyze and interpret data to see if it is supports the prediction and resolves question that is initiated the research. Okay. So I skip this part. Yeah. This is the flow chart for involving steps in scientific engineering. Ask a question, then do the background research, literature survey, constructing a hypothesis, test with an experiment. If it is good, procedure working, yes, then analyze data and draw conclusion and write the thesis and submit it. These are the some other, if it is no, what are the things we are going to do. So this is the simple steps in scientific. So already I mentioned this: select information, respond ideas, then prediction, observing, fair testing, measures, repeating observations, recording observations and measurement, reviewing, evaluating, then explaining the results. So these are comes under questionnaire. So techniques involved in designing a questionnaire, because most of the research based on questionnaire. Designing questionnaire, indirect inquiry. So something we are going to get indirectly. Questionnaire in a form containing series of questions and providing space for reply to be filled by the respondent itself. So we give some space for them. A question is formalized, a formalized set of questions to generate the data necessary for accomplishing the research project's objectives. So what are the 10 points to be considered designing questionnaire? Must be initially related to final objectives of the investigations. Specify the information needed. Questions must follow logical sequences. Arrange the questions in a proper order. Specify the types of interviewing method. Biased questions should be avoided. Proper structuring of the questions is must. Decide on the question structure. Should be brief, clear, and simple. That is, determine the content of individual questions. Determine the question wording. These are the ways. These are the things which you are in mind before you form the questionnaire. Reproduce the questionnaire. That is, question should have appropriate and to it. Eliminate bugs by protesting. And questions outside the respondent's experience should not ask. Questions should not touch memory of the respondent. And identify the form and layout. So these are the important things when you are forming a questionnaire. So this already we discussed. What is the topic? Wants to be topic section. Okay. At the end of the stage, it is very, very important. Publishing during a PhD work. That is very difficult task. Getting a publication, published work during PhD can be extremely rewarding experience. Yes, no doubt. Allowing to gain a wider audience for your research along with some valuable experience of the peer review process. Publishing articles and papers during your doctorate can be a great way to boost your academic CV and increase your profile. So that is very important. Building a career in academic or applying for postdoctoral positions, publishing numerous articles during a PhD could well set you apart from the competition. There is not necessarily an average number of publications that we should aim for us PhD students. In general, in UK, it is not a requirement for research students should be published while completing their PhD. But in India and most of the IITs, supervisors don't ask publications. They talk about only quality of the research. Even in some of the universities, arts universities in India, colleges in India, they don't bother about publications. So some universities follow SCA journal, some universities follow Scopus. But as a researcher, you should have something in your mind. You should publish one good article apart from your entire research work. That is for your sake of research progress. Okay, so don't bother about whether the university asks something or we should follow something. You don't bother about it. At least one good paper for the entire. Suppose you are going to write 5 chapters in your research. At least one chapter should publish in a good journal, good reputed journal. That is very, very important. Because you may say that I'm not going to research further after getting PhD, but that will change. After 2 years, you might be a situation to continue your research, or someone should come and ask you to guide you. In that situation, if you have good publication in your research, that will help to lead your research work with your new students, next generation. Then, however, in some countries, particularly in North America and Asia, publication may be condition for finishing a PhD. So, in an university, so we should publish 2 articles in annexure list, at least 1 article in annexure. 2 is good if you publish 2 articles in annexure list. They have some set of journals, good journals, some are paid journal, or some are not. But as a researcher, we should publish 1 or 2 articles. That is very important. Then getting an article accepted by an academic journal is one of the most prestigious kinds of publication you can gain as a PhD student. This is because of rigorous peer review process, which involves 2 or more specialized taking a close look at your work, deciding whether it is worthy for publication. Peer review, if you have a good publication, you don't bother about PhD degree. Just you attach your publication along with your thesis. If you send it to some either foreign or Indian, definitely they immediately give a positive report about your thesis. At least 1 good publication is attached. That is mandatory. That is important also. This ensures that all articles, including those by PhD students, are judged entirely according to their academic merits, not the profile of their author. We don't bother about the author comes from this background or that background, but that merits goes based on your publications. The process can be lengthy, one though, sometimes taking several months. Yeah, it's understood. In some of the journals, they take more than 1 year for accepting the paper, then for publication. So recently, I published 2 papers after 1 year of acceptance, because in journal they following these set of rules. Accepting and publishing the particular article, the time duration is 1 year. So there is no other way we should wait. But you should choose your publication in a good journal with its short span. That depends on your expertise. What are the challenges? Because so far I discussed many things, but what are the challenges faced by a PhD student? Yeah, owning your time. That is very, very important. One of the most important aspects of PhD study is strong time management to achieve the optimal work-life balance. You should view your doctorate at the same time as a full-time scholar, while also appreciating that complete lack of leisure time can be damaging to your health and chances of success. Then no doubt. Then managing research supervisor, that is very, very difficult. Absence of supervisor, frequently unavailable, perhaps due to other research commitment. Second supervisor does not increase their level of support. Then what are the conflicts? Interdisciplinary research with the two different leading supervisors, they may have some disopinion about conflicting advice. So you don't know in which advice you are going to follow, whose advice you are going to follow. Then intimidation, supervisor may actually be playing a more active role in your PhD research than necessary. So something that is particularly likely, they are attempting to compensate for their inexperience. This is a rare thing, but sometimes it will happen. Then leave. Supervisors may retire, change university, or go on sabbatical leave, long leave. So in those situations, completing research is a very difficult process. But don't think about it. That is why I put it in the last two stages. These are some rare cases. We don't bother about this. So keep in your mind, you start your research in a positive sense. Try to complete as a full-time scholar within 3 years, as a part-time scholar within 5 years. So first 1 year, definitely in most of the universities in India, they are telling that you should do some coursework. So first 1 year, you're concentrating on coursework. From second year onwards, you should very clear about your problem statement. You start your data collection and analyze it in the third year. Try to publish it in the fourth year. Once you get a publication, then immediately you write the thesis and so on. So these are the things available. These are the positive things in doing research. So all the best for all the participants, those who are doing research, those who have completed research. Try to publish good articles, try to get projects, because last 2 years you gain something, how to apply for funding, other things. You try to get projects, and all the best. Thank you. Any questions, please?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your enlightening speech.
Thank you, ma'am.
And audience, the time is yours. You can ask your questions.
Yes, please.
Audience. Well, thank you all. And I would like to invite Mr. Bhaskar from the Department of Maths to deliver a vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. So I thank Dr. Sundareswaran, sir, so for accepting our invitations to be the speaker of today's sessions. So it was a session with detailings and very informative session also. So I hope the participant have received the required informations from today's sessions. So thank you, sir, so for joining us. I also thank all the participants for your cooperation and support for in today's sessions. I also extend further session also, upcoming sessions. So thank you all.
So once again, thank you the participant organizers for giving this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I request all the participants kindly unmute your video for the photo sessions for a minute. This is my humble request. All of you kindly unmute your video for the purpose of photo sessions.
அன்மியூட்டே பண்ண முடியாத நிலையில் நான் இருக்கிறேன். Left the meeting.
Thank you everyone for joining this FDP and thank you everyone, and kindly fill the feedback. The feedback is available in the chat box. Everyone just give a valuable point in the feedback. Thank you everyone. See you tomorrow.